Well, there we go. It is 2025 in a nutshell. I've printed out a piece of paper with all I've gotten up to this year, main highlights, and then goals for next year. So, welcome to the video. Thank you for watching. What are the major achievements that I did this year? Well, first of all, I ran a marathon. I think I can definitely put that at the top of the list. People say, hey, William, what was your highlight of 2025? I would say it's that. It was on the 2nd of November in Porto, a whole 42 kilometers, also known as 26 miles. And it was painful. I think it was the greatest physical challenge I've ever subjected myself to, and the amount of pain, the amount of compression that you get in your lower spine after the 3-hour mark, that's really painful for me. I also didn't help myself by weighing 85 kilos at the time that I did it, which for my height is slightly overweight. I must admit, I've gained a lot of musculature this year, especially in the legs, because of all the running I've done, and my pulmonary capacity and stamina is incredible. My cardiovascular health is really good because of it. I didn't do enough sprints this year to really train the VO2 max and expand the capillaries, but anyway, without getting into too much detail, I ran a marathon. I've got the medal right over there, and I'm just super pleased that I've managed to do such an achievement. I think it's less than 1% of the global population that have managed to run a marathon, so that's quite the achievement. So this year I did many trails, many runs, and I started training calisthenics as well. I guess I can skip straight down to one of my goals for 2026 related to the physical exercise. My big goal for 2026 is to do one muscle up, where you grab the bar, do pull up with enough impulse so that you can then do a dip. It's very difficult, and I would never be able to do it with the current amount of body fat percentage that I've got and being overweight. So that does mean that towards the goal, I should be getting lower than 75 kilos, I would expect. It's a goal that I expect will take over 6 months to achieve, and that's with consistent training and dieting. And so that's a big goal. I think part of that proof of physical health is if I'm able to do 50 push-ups, 15 pull-ups, or 15 dips. Those are other markers that indicate that I'm at a good point of physical health and should be close to being able to do the muscle up if I reach those sort of goals. Another major achievement this year, I would say, is that I finished reading the Bible for the first time. Now, I actually started 2 years ago in December of 2023. And the first year, in 2024, it was very slow going, the reading of the Bible. I made it to the end of the year only being a few hundred pages in. So this year is where I actually got a bulk of the reading done. And I must say, the Old Testament is quite long and a bit repetitive at times. The God of the Old Testament is very harsh and judgmental and sometimes appears contradictory. But after you get through that, you get to the New Testament and you read about Jesus. And the first 4 books of the New Testament are the Gospels, and absolutely incredible. It is really rewarding to get to the Gospels after having read the Old Testament. And once you've got the ideas floating in your head about certain contradictions that may have happened in stories of the Old Testament, Jesus comes along and really helps to find a golden thread that crosses through the whole narrative, weaves it all together, and gives you a very refreshing take. And so you see a much more loving sort of side to God on the New Testament, and I really, really love it. And so that was great. Currently, I'm also reading some extra books that talk about the parables of Jesus and interpret the Gospels so that I can gain extra insights from it than just a simple read through. I definitely know that there's way more content about the Bible than there is in the Bible, and the Bible is already a very long book. So in terms of this journey of exploring the Christian spirituality side of things, I am deepening my faith. And this brings me to one of my goals for 2026, which is to deepen my faith, be more involved in the church life. I've started going to Mass now every weekend, and I'm going to start praying the rosary more frequently, go to confession, and I'm also going to continue reading certain texts interpreting the Bible and watching content online that also interpret it. And this has been a cornerstone for my life recently. In fact, I would say it's the most meditative moment I have every week is when I go to church. When I was younger, I didn't really have any appreciation for it, and that's why I think I became an atheist, because I felt I was pushed into it. But now that I'm older and some more time has passed, I've realized that there's incredible wisdom in the Bible and in the church that I completely discounted as traditional and boring and old in its ways. And I think only now, being older, being more open and being more participative, and having read the Bible and being more open-minded to the potential benefits that can come from it, I've definitely realized how useful it is in terms of being able to bring a sense of calmness in one's life, I would say. While some might say that I'm just simplifying my life by accepting God as an answer to many unanswerable questions, I think one of the reasons why religious people tend to be happier, and scientific meta-analyses prove this, they do tend to be happier, and I think it's because they don't have all of these loose threads in their mind. Not to say that I am not still an overthinker in many regards, I will get to that. Anyway, so I did read the Bible this year, I finished it, and I want to continue deepening my faith. I still have a lot of reverence for the Buddha and the Buddhist teachings as well at the same time, so I don't want to corner myself into saying that I'm purely Christian or Catholic Christian or any, specific locking in to one thing, even though many of these faiths do require a 100% locked in commitment to it. I'm still exploring and still being very open to many different spiritual interpretations. And I find that a lot of the Hindu and Buddhist ideas, such as reincarnation and a soul and many esoteric practices, still really stand out to me. And I don't know if it's going to inhibit my full appreciation of commitment to the Christian faith and Christ's teachings by being a sort of split, or not split, but more like stretched across different ideas. But I'm exploring, and I know this is an ongoing process that will take me decades if I ever do come to some final conclusion. I doubt it. I think I'm always going to be exploring and always questioning. So at least I feel more comfortable and solidified or certified that I'm on a good track, especially in terms of the notable spiritual and, I guess, felt embodied and mental calmness that I've gotten from it. Other highlights of the year. Well, in April, I went to Morocco. I already talked about this previously on my quarterly recap videos. I also mentioned the parking line story when I painted parking lines at work, which I would say is my highlight from work. Not specifically something I did at work, but more a sort of an extension of it, which was a humorous moment. Another highlight of the year was the hike I did in the UK. I walked for 5 days, 6 days, South Downs Ways, 100 miles, and it was beautiful, the British countryside, the physical challenge of it as well. Yeah, this year I had two of I would say my three biggest physical challenges I've ever done in my life were this year. The hike of the South Downs Way, the marathon, and last year the big challenge was walking St. James's Way, or the Camino de Santiago, which was, over 200 kilometers walking from Porto to Santiago Compostela. So yeah, I'm very happy that I set myself these ambitious physical challenges and goals, and I'm happy with the level of activity I've been doing, especially when you compare it to previous years in my life, except when I was around 20, that's when I was more consistent. But yeah, I think the calisthenics goal suits perfectly what I need to do right now. Anyway, the UK hike was awesome. I got to revisit Portsmouth and see my friends there for the first time in over 3 years, and I really missed them, and it was really nice to see them. I will get another chance next August, because one of my big goals for 2026 is to go to Boomtown Festival in August. So I'm going to get the ticket for that very soon, and I've got one friend at least I know guaranteed is going. I don't know if the other one is. And I've also thought to myself, not that I expect it, but if I don't have anyone else that I know going to the festival, I know I can just go there on my own and have an incredible time anyway. So I feel pretty solid that getting this ticket and going to the UK will be a good idea. I'll get to see my friends again on this holiday in August. It was a very strange trip down memory lane going back to Portsmouth after not having been there for 3 years, I've been there for 5 years, through which the latter 3 were sort of a COVID period, well, 2.5. And so the mental pathways that I had in my head of what the streets looked like and what the daily life was, to suddenly disconnect myself from that and to not go back to it after 3 years, it was starting to become a very strange section of my mind, trying to revisit those pathways and what my daily life looked like, not having gone through it for almost 3 years. But going back really helped to sort of certify my memories of the place. It's not just some imaginary place I went to, not that I would suggest that, but yeah, it definitely gave it a more real feeling, the memories that I have. Okay, what else?
recently went to Gibraltar for a long weekend. My family like to do this every year around the end of the year, December. We do Christmas shopping and that, and I just love going to Gibraltar. And so that ends, sort of my going outside of the country holiday summary. Morocco, UK, Gibraltar. Pretty cool. Next year guaranteed, UK, one of my goals, I'm going to the UK in April. It's my cousin's wedding. I'm going to the UK in August, and I'll be Boomtown. I'll most likely go to Gibraltar at the end of the year again. And I think for my long hike, I would like to plan to go to Madeira, one of the Portuguese islands, and do a multi-day hike there. I've got the flexibility to choose when I do that. I think that will be good fun as well, camping as I usually do. One last thing to mention about major achievements of this year is that I have made a good investment profit in Tesla. Unexpected, but in such a short period of time to make such a decent percentage, 75% profit. It happened mostly because I recognized that it was at a very cheap price considering how much growth there was going to be in terms of the stock price in the company and what the company is providing, the services, the value, the product in the future as well. I bought it in March when it was at around $230, which is super cheap. And then I sold it in December when it was around $450. So I made almost, 100% profit. It's only 75% because conversion rates, stuff like that, not exactly at the lowest point and at this higher point. But that's what I calculated it as. And it could have been more because the stock price ended up getting closer to 500. I don't know how to predict what will happen in the future in terms of how low the price can go. I'm wondering, will it ever reach as low as 300 again? Maybe it will only go as low as 400, 350, I don't know. But I do expect at a high point, it will be worth 1,000 and then further in the future, 1,500. So even at the price of 500 right now, it seems like a good time to invest. I just don't know about time frame. I think I'm a bit more considerate to Bitcoin as my next investment and the potential price that it can reach within a year time frame. I think that's the next one I want to do. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment. I'm really happy to have seen a few €1,000 in profit on Tesla this year. In such a short amount of time, it beats some top investors that are satisfied with 60% in 1 year, which is already considered good. For me to get 75% in 8 months, I was very lucky. I do not consider that I'll be able to achieve that again. But I'm happy that I managed to time the market well enough to enjoy a little bit of extra profit this year. I'm not taking the money back into my bank account. I'm keeping it in my investment account. And then I'll be reinvesting it in different things. So at least for now, all I'm paying attention to are cryptos and Tesla. There aren't other companies that I've really been paying attention to. I did a bit of research into quantum computers and AI companies like Nvidia making the hardware and that, but I'm not entirely certain where to go with those. So there's that. A big thing I do this year, and it was a habit that I lost for a while, but then I regained it recently, and that's to journal. And what I've got at the top with these different colors are daily habits that I want to do. These dark blue ones are like singular tasks that I do once I can cross them off. Got a lot of space for journaling. I write something I'm grateful for here at the top, and it's a really good habit, and I had lost it for a while. I wasn't really journaling. It's been on and off for many years, but now that I'm back on it again, I'm really grateful. I like the colour coding that I've been doing as well. It's something that evolves over time, these sort of daily habits, but also every now and then you really get some really excellent insights into the typical patterns that you're going through on a daily basis when you really zoom out and see what's going on. So I noticed particularly I don't spend enough time offline, which I have since changed and improved. Another thing is, of course, my diet. One of my big goals for 2025 was to lose a lot of weight. And I started the year off and I did go down 8 kilos in a few months, which is incredible. But then I sort of stabilized around 85 kilos, which means I was only down 5. And now, again, winter holiday period, I gained 5 kilos since the marathon, which means I didn't really lose any weight this year. I find it funny. Now, considering all the exercise I did, it does mean that I am more muscular and less just body fat than I was a year ago with all the physical achievements like running a marathon and that. But at least next year with a calisthenics goal, if I really want to do the muscle up, and that is my goal, I really want to do the muscle up, I have no choice but to burn all of that extra body fat percentage so that I can take it down from closer to 30% down to around 20%, which for a guy will make me look much better. So that's something I'm excited for. Journaling really helps into recognizing these bad patterns that I've got and good patterns, and I do find that incrementally I am making progress percentage-wise on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, being more consistent, and journaling is one of the best things that helps with that. Also just for, getting the patterns of my mind down on paper so that it's not always just in my mind. All right, what else can I say? Didn't do much video editing this year. I mean, I recorded my 4 quarterly vlogs, still haven't edited the UK hike, which I think should come out soon. In the winter it'll be funny to see lovely summer days, but yeah, and then on my RuneScape channel, where I've got quite a few updates to give. I only uploaded a few videos at the beginning of the year. However, I was really lucky because I think at some point around February, someone made a post on Reddit, on the old school RuneScape Reddit, saying I found a channel that's not very popular but makes high effort content, and they linked to one of my videos on my channel, and I gained immediately from one day to the next, doubled my subscribers from 1,200 all the way up to 2,400. It was unbelievable. It was one of the top posts for the week on the old school RuneScape subreddit. I was really lucky. A lot of people were saying, oh, that's self-promo. No, it was just some random person that I never met before who did that. I was really grateful. And one of my videos this year is one of my top performing videos of all time, and I've actually gotten adverts on my YouTube channel. The minimum requirement that you have to hit is have at least 1,000 subscribers, but more importantly, at least 4,000 hours of watch time. And I did hit that this year, and I'm not going to lose that anytime soon. And so I got my first 2 paychecks from YouTube, which means I've made $150 this year in 2 paychecks, which is awesome. You know, over the course of 7-8 months to make $150 without having uploaded any videos in that time shows that the only way is up after this. And so once I finish my reading project, you can see I've got a lot of books here. I'm reading a lot. But once I do finish my reading project and writing project, I can dedicate myself more fully to the video project of my RuneScape channel and this channel. And I think then you'll see not 150 euros in a year, but maybe 500 euros in a year. Maybe one day it'll be a few thousand euros in a year. It might maybe, after, if I really dedicated myself after a few years, get to the point where it's self-sustainable. I don't have to work a job just through passive income on YouTube. But I know that would take many years of fully investing myself or having a few videos hit viral moments or hitting the algorithm, so to say. It is something that I want to do more of, and this year I just didn't do much video editing, I'm afraid. Yep, what else? Okay, I've said all of this. Oh yeah, I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers on my RuneScape channel. Awesome, 3,000 subscribers is really impressive. Oh yeah, on X, not much to say really about my postings on X. I pay attention to an alternate set of facts, you could say, that most people don't pay attention to. I think the most important realization I've had is that it can be quite depressing seeing all of these negative things going on, and I point out a lot of, like corruptions going on in bureaucracies and stuff, and I feel like I'm powerless against that. What can I do? I'm paying attention, I'm trying to inform myself. I find that first and foremost, it's important to have fun, even when you're presented with a set of unchangeable facts that I don't really have much influence over. But also it's informing the book that I'm writing, and so gaining that perspective helps. And so one of the things I've noticed, particularly this year, is that there's been a new divide, a new wall that's being pushed against that sort of has caused a rift, particularly within what you could call the American right, which is opinions on Israel. You tend to have the more neoconservative attitude of always supporting them, and then you've got the younger generation who witnessing all of the destruction and death going on in Gaza and different influences that leverage that the Israeli elites have within US politics, IPAC, all of these things, their involvement within TPUSA. There's this rift going on, which is people who try to point out the corruption going on at those higher elite levels, and those that don't want any attention to be drawn to that. And so at least I guess I'm in the loop of paying attention to these factors, and it's really interesting on how this informs the world. I'm always learning a lot more, and I feel more solidified in terms of how to really characterize the more important aspects to pay attention to. At least I feel in my own life. Everyone has their own set of facts that they pay attention to, but I'm having fun with it, which is the most important part. Okay then, so next year, I guess one of my biggest goals is, aside from keeping up consistent daily habits, is I want to finish my reading goals. I really want the year 2026 to be the year that I say, I've read what I think to be the most important books to get an understanding, especially for helping me write my book. I really want to get to the end, have this book, all the books that I need to have read, so that I can focus on the writing part, and so that I can focus on the other hobby of video editing. I really want to get back into that. I haven't been much motivated this year to work on it. Hopefully next year, once I've done my reading goals, I'll feel more refreshed for that. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I enjoy the way that my life feels on a daily basis. I'm generally content, typically in a good mood. Not many things get me down. I feel like I'm controlling my time and my focus and my attention more resourcefully as of late. Keep on, with big goals like this is what I wanted to get done this winter, a little piece of paper here on the wall to help remind me. And yeah, I do feel like not many hours go wasted. More recently, I would say the wasting is more so YouTube Shorts has been taking my attention a bit. I installed a blocker to get rid of the YouTube Shorts because, yeah, that can be quite a time sink, the doom scrolling and the fracturing of attention. I don't like it. It doesn't leave a good feeling. So I've reduced the doom scrolling on X and on YouTube Shorts. I am more selective about what I do pay attention to on YouTube, and when I do vie off into entertainment, more so passive watching as opposed to active watching. I like watching restoration videos, people building stuff out in nature and stuff. So that's all been really fascinating. That's the year 2025 summarized. Thank you for watching. And yeah, hopefully, I think I said this last time, you'll see the UK vlog within the next few weeks before the next quarterly update. Thank you for watching.